The moral of the story is listen to the friend with common sense. This movie was pretty disturbing, I must say, and yet at the same time, it was good. I felt like it was written pretty solidly, and the characters were done in such a way that they were believable. The premise of this, well, believable to an extent, okay? The premise of this story, I never watched the trailer for this. Actually, I didn't even know about this until I got an email about an advanced screening of it. This is coming out this Friday on Hulu. Friday the what? 4th? I think it says it right there on the poster. And the premise of the story is this woman, it shows her, she's trying to meet the perfect guy. You know, she's doing the whole dating app thing, and the very beginning of the movie shows this uncomfortable first date situation that she's on with this guy, and you can just tell it's just not going to work out. And then she happens to meet this guy in the supermarket, and he seems great, and she likes him, and they strike up this relationship, and then he says he wants to take her to someplace special, and she has this really close girlfriend, that girl right there, and she's like, no, don't do it, I'm suspicious, don't, listen, he don't have no Instagram. And which, to me, that's not really a red flag, because not everybody's on social media. In fact, in a lot of ways, I think it's almost like a badge of honor if you're not, because you know how it is. But the point she was making is this guy has no footprint anywhere. I can't find anything about him, can't, research him or whatever. Well, the girl of the story, the main character in the story, name is Noah, Noe, Noe or Noah. I thought they were pronouncing it Noah, but she goes off with him, and she shouldn't have. Let's just say that much. You can probably sort of guess by the imagery in some of the promo art here, sort of what it's about. And I thought I knew what it was about. Well, I was sort of right, and you probably will sort of be right too as you go into it, unless the trailer specifically says what is really up with this guy. And I haven't seen the trailer, like I said, so I don't know. But in case it doesn't, I'm not going to get into depth as far as what's really going on with him. You're probably on the right track, like I said, but you might not be on the nose. Okay, so this movie, I thought when I looked it up to read the synopsis more about it, when I saw information about it coming in on my email, I thought it was described as like a horror comedy. And looking back on it now, having just watched it, I mean, it just finished a few minutes ago. Looking back on it now, there's definitely some comedic moments, but when you're in the middle of it, at the time, moments that were supposed to be comedic, maybe going back and rewatching it would be funny to me at the time, but things weren't really all that humorous to me until like right towards the very end. But in retrospect, I can see why this has sort of got the comedy label attached to it. But it's a very dark sort of comedy, black humor, and it's even darker than, like, let's say something like Heathers, which is described as like a black comedy, and it's not on that level. Like, I could see more humor in Heathers, but in something like this, not quite as much. Just because the subject matter, you guys, it's very disturbing. Anyway, the credits for this film, they don't start until more than 30 minutes in. Yeah, I noticed that. I even wrote it down because it was different. I don't think I've ever seen an intro that long in a movie before, until the credits start rolling. So that was unusual. So anyway, this movie, it's just under 2 hours long. In all honesty, it felt like maybe 10 minutes or so could have been trimmed off of this. I'm not really complaining about the length, because in a lot of ways it did feel like it was well paced. You have this build up to what is actually going on, and that takes a good while. And then you have the situation as it's happening, like when she's in this situation and she's realizing what's going on. And then the narrative goes back and forth between her and her friend, who's doing some detective work to try to figure out what the heck is going on. And more of the back and forth. And her friend has a guy that she's interested in, and he sort of kind of gets involved in the detective-y work. And so you've got these different narratives that are at play. And I felt like it was woven together pretty solidly. It didn't really feel rushed to any extent. And like I said already, in some ways it felt just a skosh too long. Part of that was really because of, I think, a situation that often happens in, I almost said comedy films, listen to me. A situation that often happens in horror movies or thriller movies where the protagonists make dumb decisions and they don't take care of business like they should. The thread is left around, when it's like, really? Have you not ever watched a horror movie? Take care of it. Deal with it. Make sure it's done. Don't turn your back and walk away. That sort of thing, which is so prevalent in horror movies. It's almost like a joke now. And it has gotten to the point where it's a little annoying. So when this was happening in this movie, I was like, oh, come on, that sort of thing. It's a little frustrating. But that doesn't really take away from the solidness of the entire, is that even a word? Solidness? Solidity? That doesn't really take away from the quality of the work as a whole. This is still very good. I feel like if you like horror, you're going to enjoy this film. It's going to make you feel disgusted. It's very, very disturbing. Some imagery and things that are happening. It's like, that's really, really, that's gross. That's just gross. Oh, and tying into that grossness also, I noticed, probably because I was listening to this with my earbuds, I don't know how blatant it will seem if I watch it on the big screen, but there are scenes of eating, and the audio very much was like, had the sound of the chewing and the swallowing amped up, and it was gross. It was gross just because of what the movie's about, but also because those sorts of sounds just bug me. I think they bug a lot of people. Nobody really likes to hear loud chewers. Sorry. I'm in the middle of a review.
Did I scare you?
No, you didn't. But you made me lose my train of thought. I was talking about loud chewers, and here you come in eating something, loudly chewing. Goodness, Levi, you're just everywhere, I swear, with your legs. Oh my gosh. Okay, where was I? I was talking about the loud eating noises. That was a little gross, and that was obviously intentional just because of the subject matter. But I'm just kind of warning you about things like that. I don't know. Maybe it won't bother you guys as much as it did me, but I kind of have this really sensitive, like, gag reflex. So certain sounds trigger it. I didn't actually do anything like that, but it was making me feel gross. So, what else? What? Who, Levi? What was I saying? That was the second interruption. I'll get done with this eventually. I'm just going through my little list here, and I don't want to leave out anything, but I don't want to actually mention some of the things that I had written down because that's just getting a little bit too much into the details, and I want to avoid that. But all in all, this film was good. Don't know if I'll watch it again. Maybe if I'm like hanging out with my cousins or something. But it was one of the better written horror movies, I think, that I've seen in a while. There was definitely, like I mentioned already, the dumb decisions, the dumb actions taken by the protagonist, you know, not taking care of business. There was some predictability that went along with, you know, the things that were going on in here. But there were also a couple of times where things were unpredictable. And I appreciated that part of it. And one of the times was it was kind of humorous. And I'm trying to think if there's anything. No, I'm not going to mention it. Maybe you guys won't find it as funny as I did. But I think the reason that I found it funny was because it sort of took what you expected was going to happen and turned it on its head a little bit. Anyway, whatever. If you guys end up watching it and we talk about it at some point in the comments, maybe I'll mention what it was that kind of tickled me. But all in all, this was an enjoyable horror movie, to the extent you could call something like this enjoyable. And I thought it was really good, very well done. It's coming out again, like I said, on Hulu this Friday, and give it a shot if you like horror. I definitely think you will probably enjoy this. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this. I think I've mentioned everything. If there's anything I've forgotten, I'll put a little text or something in the video. I've got to wrap this up. I've got to turn in super early tonight. Got to get up early in the morning, and don't know if I'm going to have time to edit this tonight, but I'll give it a shot. So I'm unplugging for now, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.